Okay, hello and welcome everyone. My name is Amit Chaturvedi. I'm the Associate Director for Client Relations for IDP South Asia. And today we have got two very valuable speakers with us to give you insights. And as we have been doing at IDP, these sessions where we have got top of the line speakers, academics to come and interact, share their experiences on subjects, share their experiences and expertise on various other aspects. Uh, in our endeavor to push UK as a destination of choice, we try and get best of the speakers from across institutions. Today, we are delighted to have people from University of Durham, and I'm sure the insights which our speakers are going to share today is definitely going to change a lot of perceptions, give a lot of new insights to our prospective students. And if you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat boxes to put your questions. We'll take these questions. You can also ask these questions which remain unanswered. I've got my colleagues here on the chat box as well. So we'll pick up the questions and we will ensure that each and every question is answered and commented upon. Let me just briefly introduce our two guest speakers. We have Dr. Chona Berry. She holds an Oxford University law degree and an MBA and PhD from Newcastle University. She's an associate professor for entrepreneurship at Durham University Business School and director of business enterprise and innovation at Durham Energy Institute. She'd had the different international roles for global corporates and run a variety of digital or creative companies before joining academia in 2002. So I'm sure she has got a mix of both sides of experiences. Before she got into academia, she was working with different corporate houses. So of course she can give the insights from both aspects. She has an extensive involvement with the new venture startups. She won the AFL Regional Academic Leader Award in 2019 and is a member of Northern Power Women NPW Powerless. So we have a very powerful woman, if I say so, as one of our speakers. Of course, Dr. Ruth, you are as powerless, as powerful. So if I can say a few words in your introduction as well. You have BSc in Applied Biology, as I read from your profile, and an MPhil in Virology, and a PhD in muscle cell pathology from Newcastle University. So I'm sure in these times when we have people who can talk from what's happening in the research areas and give some insights on to students when students are concerned around the COVID situation. Parents are a little scared to send their kids abroad. I'm sure your insights will be very valuable. Uh, Dr. Ruth has worked as a postdoctoral research associate sponsored by Muscular Dystrophy Research at Newcastle University for 10 years before branching out into department management in 1998. She held management position in engineering department at Newcastle University from 1998 to 2018. She moved to the position of department manager in the Department of Engineering at Durham University in January 2019. So we have, as I said, two very eminent speakers, and I'm sure Dr. Jana would like to start the proceedings. Please make use of this session, this conversation, this insightful talk from two of our very learned speakers, and I'm sure students will definitely benefit from these interactions. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hand it over now to Dr. Jonah.
Thank you very much indeed for a wonderful introduction. It's so nice to be introduced in such a wonderful way, and I very much appreciate it. Let me just share my screen. If I do that, can everybody see the screen? Yeah, everything up okay? I love it when the technology works. Thank you very much.
Looking well.
Excellent. It's an honor to be here today, and thank you very much to everybody who is attending live and to those who are seeing the recording. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen in. We hope, myself and Ruth, that you find what we have to say today interesting, and we will be delighted to answer any questions that you have or indeed to go away and find the answers to any questions that we can't answer ourselves. What we'd like to be able to do today is to, we've already had the introductions to ourselves, but to give you as much as we can in terms of an overview of the content and the structure of our brand new Master of Energy Systems Management. It's an exciting new program, and I know every program says, and every program director like myself says that their program is exciting, but really this one has been created in a time that couldn't need it more. And what we want to do today is to give you an idea of not just the content and the structure of the program and what the core modules are, what skills you'll get out of it, what sort of projects and guest lectures and what sort of careers you will have afterwards, who the staff are that you will be taught by, and answer the questions that you may have. But more importantly, tell you why this particular program, more than almost any program that the university that we work at now and that any university in the world is running at the moment, is absolutely critical. Because what we want to do is generate students from this program who are capable in no small way of helping to save the world. The purpose of the program, the why of the program, is to bring together knowledge from business and knowledge from engineering in such a way that the students can synthesize those two completely different sets of understanding, regardless of their background, whether you are a lawyer, an anthropologist, a biomechanical scientist, or whether you actually bring business or engineering to the table, and help you to understand that energy systems management and the efficiencies of energy systems management are going to help us to reach net zero, which is what is going to help us save the planet for my children and your children. And I think that is not just exciting, but actually it's really quite important. So that is why I am particularly excited about this program. So the outline of the session is, as you can see on this slide, I'm presuming everybody can read it, and myself and Ruth will take you through it sort of side by side. The main points of the background to it are, I think, probably worth running through just to give you an idea of where it's going to happen, because it is a physical program. We don't want to sit on Zoom any longer than we absolutely have to. I think we've all had enough of that. Personally, I have had enough of sitting in my pajama bottoms and looking smart on top. I want to get back into the classroom, and this program really does need labs. It needs you to get your hands dirty, it needs you to roll your sleeves up, and it needs you to meet people. But we want you to do that in a way that is safe. And Durham, whilst being an historic city, is one of the oldest cities in the UK, and it is an absolutely beautiful environment, is a completely safe environment. We have done an enormous amount of work as a university and working extraordinarily closely with the town to make sure that we have been, across the whole course of the pandemic, as safe can be, from regular testing and being a COVID safe environment to ensuring that staff, students and the town environment work very closely together. So we are a very, very safe environment. And I'm sure that Ruth can tell you more about that herself. We are a world top 100 university. We are the third oldest university in the UK. And we are, as a business school, which is my particular home, triple accredited. One of a tiny, tiny, tiny 0.01% of business schools that has the triple accreditation of EQUIS, AMBER and AACSB. So an extremely highly ranked business school. The program has been created through partnership with lots and lots of different people, but the three really important partners are engineering, which is where my colleague Ruth sits, the business school, which is where I sit, and the Durham Energy Institute, which is a world-renowned institute full of extraordinary people, both researchers and industry-related people who sit on our advisory board. And they come from chemistry and physics and geothermal backgrounds, as well as wind and solar and you name it. Anything and everyone to do with energy is represented in that world. So it's a premium program, and it's a program that we want to have a relatively small class size from a wide variety of different countries around the world, on the basis that if you bring different people together, they are much more likely to inform each other and bring new information into the classroom. And also they're going to throw off sparks. They're going to generate new information, and innovation is what this program is all about. The program has a technical applied focus. There are two program types you will have heard of. There is the MA and the MSc, and you'll see lots and lots and lots of those around, an MA in this and an MSc in the other. This program is neither of those, and I had to spend a long time writing very tedious documents to apply to Senate, which is the body that governs the university, to ensure that this program becomes a Master of Energy Systems Management. It is not an MSc, it is not an MA, and you, when you graduate from this program, will not be the holder of an MA or an MSc, you will be a Master of Energy Systems Management, in the same way that you would be a Master of Business Administration if you got an MBA, as an example. Master of is a denomination that implies professional competence, rather than being scientifically competent necessarily with an MSc or being competent in the arts that an MA implies. Master of is a very, very special title, and I look after it very carefully, and I get very cross if people call my program an MSc or an MA. It has very strong industrial links, and I'll talk about those in a little more detail when Ruth has told you a bit about the engineering side of things. We have lots of very strong links with global engineering companies, and that's not just from the point of view of making sure that you have careers to go to with these companies afterwards, but also so that you can roll your sleeves up and get involved in some live company projects, strategic projects, so that we can take you on visits to see them, probably regional and local in the first year or two, just because of the pandemic making life difficult when you're trying to arrange international study trips in a world such as the world is at the moment. It's a bit complicated. But also we can bring people into the classroom to talk to you about bringing theory to life in their particular environment. But we want to make sure that you have excellent employability opportunities, so these industrial links are very important. And there are some scholarships available still for September 2021 entry. There's a particular category of scholarship I want to talk about, which are what we call EDI scholarships. That stands for Equality, Diversity, and Inclusivity. So these EDI, Equality, Diversity, and Inclusivity scholarships are there to try to ensure that we encourage equality, so that we encourage more women in particular to come into the engineering environment. I am a particular supporter of bringing more females into the engineering environment. It's to encourage diversity in the class size, and that's diversity in everything. That's not just diversity in terms of male, female, or gender balance, but it's also diversity in terms of physical capacity. And it's also about inclusivity, making sure that we include people from all backgrounds, all family backgrounds, and all geographic backgrounds. So we want to make sure that we have EDI, equality, diversity, and inclusivity in everything. And the scholarships that we have available in a particular section of those scholarships are still available for September 2021 entry, and you are most welcome to apply for those now. The university itself is, as I said, very beautiful and very old. The building that you can see there is actually one of the colleges. There are 28 colleges in the university, and when you join, you would come to join one of the colleges as well as joining the university. One that you can see there sitting on the riverside is University College, and you would live in that castle if you become part of a member of University College Durham. The university was established in 1832, and it's one of a very small group of traditional collegiate universities. Oxford is another one. Cambridge is another one, and it's on a UNESCO World Heritage Site, so a lot of the buildings are listed buildings, which means they're very difficult to adapt and amend. We also have some fantastic, very, very new buildings like the Kalman Learning Centre, which has just been built and which is a proper 21st century teaching and learning environment with everything that you could expect to learn efficiently and effectively. It's ranked 6th in the UK by the Complete University Guide, top 100 in the QS World University Rankings, and 54th in the world for employer reputation in the World University Rankings. So we do pretty well as universities go. The business school itself is a top 50 school. It's top 10 in the UK, 63rd in the world. As I've said before, triple accredited, and we have 3 departments: management and marketing, and economics and finance, and accounting. There are 3 core modules that go into the energy systems management program, and 2 of those are from management and marketing: global energy management and whole energy systems, and 1 module that goes into the program from economics and finance, and that is energy regulation, finance and markets. And the engineering department is what Ruth is going to tell you a little bit more about here and in the following 5 or 6 slides. Ruth, over to you.
Thank you. So Joanna mentioned the accreditation of the business school. The 4 MSc programs that the Department of Engineering currently runs are also professionally accredited by the relevant professional bodies. And so the modules that are delivered as part of this program fall under that accreditation banner. The Department of Engineering is joint first in the UK for internationally excellent and world leading research impact, as one of the results of the last Research Excellence Framework exercises in 2014. Engineering itself is 4th in the Complete University Guide 2022, 6th in the Times and Sunday Times Good University Guide, and 8th in the Guardian University Guide for General Engineering. I think one of the unique selling points of the Department of Engineering at Durham is that we teach engineering as a general engineering programme, and we integrate all the different engineering disciplines together. We work very well across the various engineering disciplines. Engineering itself has been taught at Durham since its inception in 1838, so it is one of the oldest in the country, and so we do have a very good reputation for engineering here. Can I have the next slide, please, Joanna?
You could, if I could get it to flick over. There you go.
Thank you. And as Joanna mentioned earlier, we do have very strong links with the Durham Energy Institute. And this is where members of our engineering academic staff work with academic staff from other departments within the university, but also with key research staff from other institutions and from key industrial partners within the engineering sphere. The Institute produces world-class research, particularly trying to understand energy decarbonisation and looking to deliver integrated solutions for the climate emergency. And we look to incorporate social, policy and technical insights into this research. The research itself is rooted in strong partnerships with industry and policy organisations, including the government, both at home and worldwide, to make sure that the projects we work on address rapidly changing energy priorities and key challenges that the sector is looking at. And we believe that by integrating all these disciplines and different sectors, that we can approach energy systems in more of a holistic and integrated way and find the most effective solutions to these global energy challenges that we face, and trying to develop and implement these new solutions to go forward. Can I have the next slide, please, Joanna? So to just give an overview of the programme, the objectives of the programme are to make sure that our graduates are able to exploit the economic transformation as the world moves towards zero carbon operation. We want to immerse students in both business management, but also the underpinning engineering technologies of energy conversion within the programme. We're looking to develop advanced and systematic understanding of energy management from both an engineering and business perspectives. And through the work and group work and through working with our industrial partners, we want to enable students to critically review and apply relevant business management and energy conversion knowledge to practical solutions. The programme should also allow the students to develop a critical awareness of current issues in energy management, and this should then be informed by leading edge research and practice in the field. Can I have the next slide, please? So the structure of the programme itself, there's a foundation module which brings together all the elements of business and engineering together, and that underpins the whole programme. There are a number, there's 6 modules of specific technical knowledge. So whole energy systems, renewable energy technologies, energy regulation, financing and markets, future vehicles, global energy management, and decarbonisation of heating and cooling. These are the more subject specific modules that will take students specifically into those disciplines. There's the opportunity for students to take 2 optional modules, and the optional modules can be taken from a range of modules offered by the business school, by the engineering department, but also from other departments such as the language centre, anthropology, law. So there's a range of different options that students might want to take, and that would allow the students to follow a path more aligned with their specific interests and perhaps abilities. There are 2 other modules that underpin the programme and run through across the whole year. One is career and professional development. I think one of the key things we want to make sure is that all our graduates are adequately sort of equipped to go out and deal with energy systems management in the workplace. We want to make sure that you have the skills and the knowledge to take you out into the world of employment. And then we also have a capstone project, and this is where students are able to work alongside people in industry to work with engineering and business together. And this is a key project that each student will work on and hopefully thoroughly enjoy. Joanna, can I have the next slide, please? So looking at this in a more of a time frame, students joining the programme would join near the end of September, beginning of October. There's an induction programme that would welcome all new students to Durham and give all students an idea of the context in which they'll be studying. The foundation module happens in sort of the first term over the first couple of months. And this foundation module is one that makes sure that all students are brought up to speed on both the engineering and business elements of the programme, so that by the end of the first term, all students are working at the same level. We have these core modules, the 6 core modules that I mentioned earlier, and these will be taking place between December and March. Optional modules will then happen in term 3, so after the Easter vacation. And the summer is where you will spend most of your time on the business project. So, sorry.
Sorry.
So although you will plan and think about your project earlier in the year, most of the time spent on the project will be between July and the following September. Like I say, the careers and professional skills module is embedded throughout the programme, and we have experts from the careers department who will come in and work with each of the students on their specific development programme. Thank you.
Ooh, I have a very oversensitive mouse today. I'm sorry. There we go. Right. It's my turn anyhow, I think, isn't it? It's over to me.
Okay.
So the mode of delivery is, and thank you for that, Ruth. The mode of delivery is to ensure that we keep everything synthesized. There's been a lot of work done to make sure that this doesn't feel like a bit of engineering and then a bit of business, and then you come out with an engineering and business sort of degree in 2 separate halves. This is a joint program where you will be taught together and you will learn together, and you will come out as a fully blended cohort. So you will be taught as a single cohort. You will go off and do your separate electives, obviously, and that we hope that you enjoy those. And as Ruth said, there's a lot of work going on to make sure that we give you as wide a range of those as we possibly can, because each individual will have different things that they're particularly interested in. But in terms of the core modules in your strategic business project being the only other optional, the only other issue where you will be on your own, the rest of the program you will all be taught as a group. And it's important to us because we want to make sure that in an increasingly fractured, distant, remote world, you get the opportunity to learn to work in an integrated international team. So the ability to learn from each other and with each other is really important to us. Your delivery mode is in what we call, in very, very technical academic terms, short and fat, as opposed to long and thin. So it's 2-week blocks of teaching per topic. You're usually being taught in the morning, and then you have study time in the afternoon. That study time may be for you to spend on your own, or it may be in a group, depending on what it is that you're learning and how we're assessing you. But the assessment mechanism is generally built in to that block of teaching, so that you have the opportunity to do your short, fat section of teaching and then be finished with your assessment all in the same space of time. It's a really good way for you to get to know the people that you're working alongside. And as I say, we're being very careful to curate this program so that there aren't hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students, all from one part of the world, all sort of clumped together and not getting a different experience to the one that they would get if they'd all simply stayed at home. So we're trying very hard to make sure that we mix things around a little bit and give you all a very different experience to what you would have if you all stayed where you currently exist. So the assessment and the mode of delivery has been quite carefully configured, and hopefully the slides that Ruth has taken you through give you a sense of what that's going to look like across the course of your year. And again, I'm happy to give you answers to any of the questions that you might have on the mode of delivery. We are, and we've said this a few times now, but I'm going to say it again, very, very keen to work with industry, because the program itself is intended not only to be, as I said at the beginning, a master of energy systems management and therefore an applied program giving you a set of professional competencies which you do not get from doing nothing but a theory, but also it's intended to equip you with an understanding of where theory fits into practice, and that can only really happen if we involve industry right from the get-go. We have industrial consultants who work with us not only in designing the module outlines, but also in helping us to deliver the modules. So you will find that there are guest speakers that we are going to either beam into the classroom if they happen to be international, and we have a fair number of international experts on our advisory board at the Energy Institute, for example, but also who will physically come into the classroom and work with you. We are building in business projects, as Ruth has said, in terms of the Strategic Business and Engineering project, which is the capstone project, of course, but also some of the assessment may involve site visits and may involve you going out to spend a day or an afternoon or a morning at a regional location. We are really, really lucky in the Northeast. We have Nissan, the car factory, which has just announced as 6,000 new jobs to help support the building of a new gigabattery plant. There's another gigabattery plant that's just got planning permission in Blythe, which is very close by. We have the Port of Tyne, which has a brand new wind farm in a place called Dogger Bank, which is in Jarrow, only 40-minute drive away. We have a place called Beamish, where you're going to be spending a day as part of your induction, which is only a 20-minute drive away, which is another fascinating site of real interest. And we have an entire housing estate which is heated by geothermal heating. So there's some fun, and there's lots and lots of work being done on wind farms up and down the northeast coast, lots of activity happening in the solar environment, even though it's raining, and even though I hate to say that the northeast of England is very green, but that's largely because it rains quite a lot. There is still sunshine. So we have lots of local opportunities to give you sort of site visits and day trips to things as well. The career services people, for want of a better description, Neil and his colleagues are also very, very close to industry, and there is a milk round of sorts at the end of every year where you'll have the opportunity to meet with potential employers. They also like very much to come in and talk in terms of being guest speakers and of offering up business projects and site visits, because that gives them the opportunity to do a little bit of quiet talent spotting. The student that is the active, interested, curious, informed, intelligent student in class is likely to be the student that is a very good performer at interview as well. So they use the opportunity that I give them to come into the classroom and talk to you about their business as an opportunity to do a little bit of informal interview practice, as it were, with my students, and that happens quite a lot. So it works both ways, and the industry contact that we have is well known in and around the northeast of England as an opportunity for them to come in and do some talent spotting with our students. There are a few questions that come up quite a lot when we do these, so I thought I'd put those on a couple of slides and just give you some answers to some of the questions that you might have, but equally if you have others, then please do put them in the chat function and we'll try and answer them in the time that we have at the moment. I've mentioned at the very beginning, because it's important to me, the plan for 2021 is most definitively face-to-face teaching. The only time there will be an online interaction is if we have a guest speaker who is international or whose diary doesn't allow us to get them into the classroom at the time that I want them in the classroom, or that Grant or a module leader wants them in the classroom. To be frank, the pandemic has done one really good thing for us in academia. It's made our difficult to access guest speakers much more likely to say that they'll pop onto a Zoom call or a Teams call and they'll come into our classroom digitally. And that's a really good thing, because I'd far rather have somebody come into my classroom on a screen than say no. And that's a real benefit to my students. I'd much rather have somebody in my classroom virtually than not have them at all. So that's really the only time I think that we'd have somebody who comes into the classroom who isn't there physically. But in terms of you as my students, I really want you in my classroom. I want to see the whites of your eyes. I would like to see your faces. You may feel more comfortable wearing masks, and that's absolutely fine. We have had that for many years in Durham, and many of our students from the Asian continent have always worn masks. It's really no big deal. And we have now, as a result of the pandemic, significantly increased the ability for students to have hand hygiene and wear masks and be socially distanced all over the campus. So we are a very, very safe place to be, and I've got no problem if you feel more comfortable being socially distanced, being spaced, and using the hand hygiene and wearing your mask in the classroom. Really doesn't worry me at all, but I would like to see you there in the classroom. Reading lists and lists of resources, not really. We'd just like you to come into the classroom, and we are more than happy to work with students who come from lots of different backgrounds. If we start giving out reading lists, then it presupposes a base set of learning, and we're not necessarily looking for engineers or business students to come and do this joint business and engineering program. You could be doing a music degree, as far as I'm concerned, as long as your maths is up to the equivalent of what in the UK is an A-level mathematics standard, then we will have you on board. The more interesting and different students we can have on this program, I think the more innovation we will breed, and the more likely we are to help the world reach net zero. And that is my aim. So I am more than happy to welcome anybody with open arms, and I don't have a particular set of reading in mind. What I do think would be very useful is if you can keep, and I hope that all of you would be doing this anyhow, keep an eye on the reading in the newspapers on the run up to COP26, the Conference of Parties 26, which is a very important conference happening in Glasgow in November. It's all about how the world and the nations of the world can start to make some real, proper, positive action toward reaching the target of net zero in as short a time as possible. And those conversations are really important. And on the Durham Energy Institute website, you will be able to find recordings of a series of seminars and conversations. And there are still a few of them to go before the summer break, where we've been discussing lots of different ways in which we can help to achieve this target. So keeping an eye on those sorts of conversations is really important, but it's not what I would call a reading list. We want you to come with an open mind and a level of intelligence that is something that we expect everybody to come to Durham University with. Contact hours per week. It's a 180 credit program. That is the equivalent of 1,800 hours of learning across the course of a year. How many hours a week you spend learning is really up to you, but each of the modules that you are presented with, the core modules, are 10 credit modules. The strategic business and engineering project is a 50 credit module. And so you can see each module is 100 hours and the SBEP is 500 hours, and you can pretty much do the mathematics from there. So you'll be able to spend in class with your module leader and the various guest speakers something like 25 to 27 hours per module, and the rest of the time is independent or group work. And you will also be offered the opportunity to have tutorial time or workshop time, clinic time with your module leader. Each student will also be allocated an academic advisor. That's more of a pastoral relationship. It's not about your academic performance. That's more to make sure that you've got somebody there in the background to talk to if there is a problem with visas or accommodation or any issues that you have outside of the working relationship, the academic relationship. Otherwise, you have your module leader and your program director, which is myself and my colleague Grant Ingram, who's currently on annual leave, so he's not here today. I think that's about all on those particular questions. Independent work, I think I've covered off. Each module has 25 or so hours of face-to-face time in class, and then 75 or so hours of independent work, but that's per module. Across the program, it will vary. Lots of opportunities for group work. And we start that group work off with some really enjoyable work with Lego. If you don't know what Lego is, then you can Google it, I suppose. That's not something you'll often hear me say to my students, but we are using part of Lego called Lego Serious Play to help us do some work around group working. It's a really interesting opportunity to do some work within the induction period and the foundation module in October, where you will work in very small groups using physical Lego bricks to build out group working activities. I will say no more than that because it's very creative, it's very fun, it's very innovative, and it will get you thinking in a very different way. Lots of opportunities for employment, and we have an entire careers department and a very specific individual who is being recruited just for this program to help you tip in all of the knowledge that you've got into very specific employment opportunities after finishing the program. But as I've already said about the industry contacts that we have that come in as guest speakers, they are also looking for potential employees, and there are many, many new opportunities in this particular environment that we hope you'll be able to take advantages over similar programs at other universities. Well, there are no similar programs at other universities really, although there are other universities that offer programs in energy management. What we offer over and above the other universities, I think we've probably majored on across the course of this program. We are extraordinarily highly ranked. We have some of the best individual module leaders and some of the highest ranked research and some of the best known industry advisors in not just the country, in the world, in Durham Energy Institute, who have been helping inform us as we build this program to be the most innovative, the best, and to create cohorts of students who are going to be capable of doing what very few students are going to be capable of doing, synthesizing the world of engineering and the world of business in a way that helps them understand both and come up with ways to solve the problems that climate change currently face us with. I'd like to feel that the people that we have on board, colleagues such as Ruth, who you meet here today, and Grant, who is having a well-deserved rest on annual leave, are also very much part of the advantage that Durham adds to this particular program. Happy to take any more questions that anyone has. If you have any, then you can put it in the Q&A option in the webinar. Otherwise, I am more than happy to take questions after the event, and I'll more than happily add anything else by email sort of over the course of the next week or two if they come through to the Facebook pages that I think colleagues in India said that this was going to be uploaded onto. That, I think, is that. Thank you very much indeed for listening.
Right, absolutely. Thank you very much, Dr. Joanna and Ruth. I just have one question from a student that I would like you to take up. The student asked if a civil engineering field student, a background with civil engineering, can take up this course, and if not, what kind of profiles are best suited for this course?
Wow, a civil engineering would be very welcome. One of the things that Ruth mentioned was accreditation, and whilst all the modules from engineering are accredited, the entire program is intended to be accredited by the Energy Institute, but we have to wait until we've run it for a year before we can get it accredited. So it's not accredited yet as a program, right? That's just something that I guess I should probably put in the slides at some point. Coming back to this individual's question, very, very definitely a civil engineer would be most welcome, no problem at all. The core issue that I guess I always expect to be asked is, can I do this program if I'm not an engineer? And the answer to that question is most definitely yes. But if you are an engineer, then you are very, very welcome. We have a foundation module which happens in the October and a couple of weeks of the November of the first year. And that is run by myself in business and my colleague Grant in engineering. And it's intended to ensure that if you come to the program with no knowledge of business or engineering, by the time you've finished, you will be upskilled in both to the extent that you'll have enough knowledge to be able to manage the rest of the program absolutely fine. And as long as you come to the program with the relevant level of mathematical knowledge, that's the only thing that we expect. But you can have done any undergraduate program that you want. So you could have done anthropology, you could have done law, you could have done a language, you might have done, as one of the students that's coming already has done, an entrepreneurship undergraduate degree. We have a student coming who has done a drug discovery degree. So, you know, we already have students applying who've done very, very different degrees. If you've done a civil engineering degree, you'll just find some of the foundation degrees, stuff that you already know. But hey, that's fine. It gives you a little bit of time to get to know the other people on the course without having to work too hard, which is not a bad thing, really. We might just ask you to stand up and do a little bit of the lab work for us, that's all. But we would welcome you with open arms. It would be great to have you on board.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for answering that question. And I'll again thank you for this insightful presentation. Since I have Savi on the call with us, I would like to take this opportunity to ask her about what kind of support currently Durham is offering. If Savi, you can take this question and, you know, address all the students who are listening to this call that what is the current situation with regards to UKVI updates and of course, the support that university is offering.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today. And I would firstly like to thank Dr. Joanna and Professor Ruth, you know, for being a part of the session today. It was really insightful for me as well. And I'm really sorry, I'm a little under the weather, which is why, you know, my video is off and, you know, I just don't sound too well. Just to answer your question with respect to, you know, COVID. So in the UK, as we've seen, the number of cases have drastically, declined. And there have been measures taken into place, put into place to ensure, you know, social distancing and everybody is getting vaccination. And at the university, what we are trying to do is we're trying to ensure that every student who's coming in is either they're going through proper government guidelines of quarantine, or, you know, they are taking the RT-PCR test, and only once it's negative, they're being allowed to, you know, interact with other students and be, you know, and participate in the classroom structure. Otherwise, as a university, there are two things specifically that we are doing. First is wherein students are from red list countries, or wherein students are facing a challenge with regards to traveling to the UK, or they have to quarantine first and then, you know, join the classes. We are supporting students financially. This is for all the new students who will be coming to Durham this year, that we will be providing financial support to these students. And the second thing that we are also doing is we are, as a university, we are giving students an option to initially do online learning, and they have the, they have the provision wherein they can join in at a later date also. So in case if there are students, you know, because of the current pandemic situation, they're not able to get, you know, their visa in time, or, you know, because of travel restrictions, they're not able to reach the university in time. So for those students, we have extended our deadline to be at the university, and these students can join in at a later date and can start their classes online.
Great that you mentioned that, Savi, that university is flexible about the last date to enter in the UK, and that's a very handy information. And anything else that you want to update, or we can really end the session for today?
I think that's more or less about it with respect to the COVID updates. We as a university are still awaiting a few more updates to come in, and once we have all the updates, we'll definitely be sending it across to all our students and to all our partners as well. So once again, I would like to thank IDP for today's session. It was wonderful to, you know, collaborate with you and do this and organize this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Savi. Thank you, Dr. Joanna and Rose. I would request Savi to drop in your details in the chat box for all the counselors. And thanks again. Thanks all the counselors for joining as well. Bye.
Definitely. I'll just do that. Thank you.